even if everybody in your personal life, your friends, your family, as well as random people that you've never met before online, even if all of them are hating on this thing, calling it cringe, calling it lame, you don't care, you still want to be associated with it, and you would still die by it, that is inherently the nugget of what a brand is.
Welcome to the Modern Headliner Podcast. My name is Zack Gray. With me is Nick Ruffalo.
How we doing?
Nick, thank you for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me.
Just want to do a little introduction so people know who you are. So right now, Senior VP of Digital Marketing and Audience Engagement at Big Loud Rock. Also the owner of Unleashed, overall marketing agency.
Yes, sir.
And what he's been able to do, you told me hundreds of millions of organic views resulting in hundreds of millions of streams.
Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark.
Well, yeah, we've known each other for a minute, man. I mean, it's been cool to see you just grow from just the agency to, I remember when we were talking about, doing stuff and you were like, bro, this, like, everything changed. I just got hired at Big Loud and dude, it's been, kind of cool to not only just grow as friends, man, but just to see you just do what you've done over the past couple of years, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We talk to a lot of artists, man, who are really, really talented, and a lot of them are still stuck. So I kind of want to start us off by saying, or asking you, why do you think so many artists struggle to take their music and brand and actually turn it into content that works?
I think it's just a lack of repetition. I mean, it's something that when you go in with a preconceived notion that, like, I hate this, I don't want to do this. It's the same thing as like somebody who they say, yes, I do want my dream body, but I hate the gym. I hate running. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. If you're going in with that mindset from day one, then every time you go into the gym, you're not going to have that, like, okay, I get it, let me keep pushing moment. It's always going to be this struggle. And I think with the content part of it being that kind of mindset going in for a lot of artists, they're not getting not only enough repetition, but the right repetitions. Just like there's practicing and then there's practicing well. In the sports world, that's something you hear all the time. And it's like doing it enough, actually putting in the 10,000 hours at it in a way in which you're learning and trying to grow and get better at it instead of just like, I have to do this thing and I hate it, is probably the biggest like limiting belief that you'll see, from the artists who aren't mastering that side of it. Because it's not like, oh, it's this or that. It's making the music or making content. Like, you have to look at it as they're connected. It's always been that way. It just hasn't been in this medium forever. But at one point, you had to go, all right, I got to go, interview at radio stations and go give a blurb for Rolling Stone. What is my game plan? How do I practice talking like this in a format like this? How am I going to talk about this song, this album? Now it's just that mentality in a new medium, but it's not new. It's just different.
We were just talking about this. I talked to so many artists who they have good music, they understand the brand, and they don't know what to do with content. And what I try to tell most artists I talk to is, and I think, dude, you're a person who puts out a lot of content in terms of branding, archetype, all that stuff. And I see other content like that. And I feel like there is so much information and they still are frozen. So why do you think, even with the information, understanding the archetype, understanding branding, that they're still not able to do the thing? And I know you said earlier, you were talking on the Manager's Playbook about, dude, you got to want it. You got to have the passion, right? Something that I say a lot to them is, my first question with the brand is why? Why are you doing it? So I guess, how do you separate, like, dude, this is a freaking job and you got to do this no matter what, and hey, let's remember the purpose of this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you do want to, lay out your goals as an artist, and, we'll use an EDM artist as kind of an example here and say, I want to headline Ultra. I want to play a Boiler Room set that goes viral. Like, all of the things that then take this from, I experiment. I make some songs in my bedroom, and it's fun. And I show, my partner, my friends, and maybe my parents, and they think it's cool. To like, now that you're setting these goals and you look at everyone within the pool, it's not competition. It's collaboration, because, even if one DJ and another DJ make the same style, like, you guys could put out a collab, you could B2B. So it's not competition, it's still collaboration, but like, you have to look at the people within your pool and say, okay, what are they doing? And the ones that end up going on to be very successful, the disco lines, like, they do make the content, they do take it and make it a job. So to like point to, well, Skrillex didn't have to make TikToks, it's like, yeah, that was 15, now almost freaking 18 years ago. Like, it's a very different mentality, and you have to look at within your realm, do you want to ascend like the people who are treating it like a job, or is it something else? Because that decision then determines the inputs that you have to get going to even get any of the outputs that you're listing. It's just non-negotiables.
Yeah, you've talked about like getting the artist. You guys don't move forward at the agency or at the label until you get an artist to buy into it. So, dude, for you, what is that process with the artist? Because ultimately, man, that's what I'm trying to get with any artist I work with too, is I'm trying to get them to care enough to buy in to actually execute. An artist, because Peter, Avello's manager, we've had Avello on the call, and I asked him, hey man, do you know what your brand is on like a core level? And the answer was no. And so I actually tell a lot of artists lately that someone like Adam Avello didn't have to completely know what his brand was to just execute, right? He showed up authentically and he just went. The brand gets the artist the clarity on what to post. But I've literally been telling artists, like, not every artist needs to know what the brand is. So I guess, and I've also had, the archetype is the huge thing, right? And I totally agree, just like you, where every artist is going to fall into an archetype. But I've had artists literally freeze because they don't know if they're the rebel or the hero or whatever. And because they can't figure it out, they end up not doing anything. So I guess, where do you draw the line of too much information is maybe hurting these artists sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, it's analysis by paralysis. Like, at some point you just have to go. And if you've got if you look at it like a treasure map of like, you got to go to X marks the spot. It's like, well, when we have the archetype and some of these certain brand elements like mapped out, it may change, but at least like the path on the map is getting a little bit clearer, like the Harry Potter one that like disappears. Like, okay, now we at least see where we have to go. And if we have to backtrack a little, that's fine, but at least we have a bit of a path, but we just got to get moving regardless. We can go in blind, or we can go with a little bit of visibility of like where we're going, but we have to at least start moving and doing things, or we're never even going to get anywhere. And that's the big distinction you have to make, is like, let me just go. And then if I feel like, okay, everything I'm doing just feels totally blah and not me, and I hate it, but I feel like I don't hate the act of making content, for example, I just hate the stuff I'm making now. Well, maybe you've got a story where like you've moved, when from the time you were 4 years old to 11 years old, that 7-year period, you moved 6 different times and you were all around the world, and you met this one, and I went to high school with like this celebrity's like daughter, and we wrote a song, and that was like, and like maybe you have crazy stories and you never told any of that. And it's like, okay, let's tap into that, and how do we now take that core story element of your past and now make that inform the content? And it's like, I wasn't doing that at all, and that's where it becomes helpful. But at least you were going, and now you know what you don't like. That's just, knowing what you like is just as important as knowing what you don't like, and that's, you only really know what you don't like by starting and doing and going.
So the answer is, even if they don't have the clarity, like in our branding document, man, it literally says underneath the brand archetype, don't get stuck here. Mm-hmm. So, and let's just, as a default to the rest of this conversation, I want to speak primarily about the EDM space, because that's where I'm into. So I'm curious, maybe as we get into this a little later, like some artists and who you see, not just on the massive level, right? Not just the Fred Again's, John Summit, Dom Dalla, but maybe who you see coming up. And yeah, because I think there's a lot of, you're talking about Taylor Swift a lot, right? And I think that's fine, but it's like, not every artist is Taylor Swift, or, other people are talking about, John Summit or whoever. But I've just been at a place where how do I get, and you guys talked about this in terms of like the different levels, level 1 through 5, right? How do I get an artist to just, let's just say obviously they have good music. How do I get them from level 1 to level 2 and get them in some kind of momentum before, they know all this stuff? And so I guess, because you talked about it at the label where you don't move obviously until the artist is bought into, but until you guys have a really solid idea. So I guess, yeah, man, like testing and doing stuff before you're ready without even being tied to the results. Like some artists, I work with still are working on the music a little bit. Some are really good, but I tell them in terms of the content stuff, bro, it's just a muscle you need to start executing on, regardless of any results, regardless of the perfect style of content yet, regardless of your perfect archetype or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly. And like when the artist is bought in, like when you have a team, when you're an artist who has a team, whether it's a record label, a company, like agency, when there's people that are also bringing ideas to the table that are, helping you get to that next phase and putting content at the like forefront of that, then it's important to also understand that like you have to bring your own ideas, because even if you like, okay, this label has the best, digital marketing department ever, they're amazing, this agency's incredible, like even if that reputation precedes itself, if you're coming to the table and you're like, I don't know, what's your song about? I don't know. What kind of content do you not like doing? I don't know. And then you're also not showing, if you're going to at least show up and be like, I don't really have any ideas, I'm down to get after it, I'll do anything, let's lock in, tell me. But if it's like, that's still not going to help. You need to have a vision, even if you don't know what that is, just an idea of where to go, and then that team can guide you there. And to get there, that level 2 component, your level 1 aspect then needs to be like, okay, I just have to try a lot of stuff. And again, like we just said earlier, like understand what I don't like, because that's really important. Because if you're at level 1, you start to get momentum, you're posting consistently, you're getting things to compound, and you're like, yeah, but I really, really like this, and this is working, and I don't like this. Now you're at level 2 and you have that team. You're like, hey, before we begin, do any shoots, plan anything, like I just want to let you know, I've tried stuff like this before, it didn't work, and even if it did work, like even if you guys are telling me the share ratio or the metrics are right, like I just know that like we can really invest more time doing this kind of stuff and I'll feel better about it. And then the right team would go, okay, awesome, that's the right mindset, let's do this, let's dive in. And that's level 1, doing it yourself, figuring out what's working, what you don't like doing, getting to that point where financially, career-wise, whatever, you've now got the capacity to bring on a team, and then it's taking the same nuggets of information that you learned yourself about you, your audience, and how these platforms make you feel, and take that to that team and inform them immediately. And that constitutes a vision just as much as I put together this mood board and I got 50 different references and like, this is what I want to do. You could do that. That's a vision, but it's also, here's what I don't want to do. Here's what I've done. But you have to have the proof of concept that you've done it yourself before you can make any of those statements. I hate talking to the camera. Have you ever made a video talking to the camera and posted it? No. Yeah. Then how do we know?
Yeah. So you've said artists don't need clarity, they need momentum. So I want you to break down what you mean by that. But in terms of an artist getting a team, maybe a couple of places we can go with this. So who's the first team member? And then what is the place that they need to get to before they're even thinking about team member 1?
Yeah, I mean, I think the kind of like de facto music industry answer to that would be manager, but I actually don't agree. I don't agree either. I mean, there's artists, that I either, know personally work with or just see out and about where they've got like an 8-person team and they still don't have a manager yet. Like they've got videographer, in-house editor, tour videographer, agent, blah, 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 blah. But like, it's still not big enough to give away that 20, 25%, so I don't need a manager right now. So manager isn't always the de facto go-to number 1. I mean, I think it's really rooted in like, where are you strongest, where are you weakest, and where do you want to go? And then that first team member needs to be the person who specializes in where you're weakest, that directly links to where you want to go. If you're like, I'm freaking great at making content, I don't even know anything about the live show space, but I got engagement and I want to play shows, then you need an agent before a manager. Because what's a manager going to do? They're going to immediately help you find an agent. So I'm not like, managers are very important, but I think it's, important for the audience to establish that that's not always the de facto first person you bring on. It's really rooted in where are you absolutely the weakest personally as an artist, and what is your first kind of, not goal, because I'm a big proponent of having no goals, but what is the first checkpoint you're working to reach, and then does that inform itself? So it could be a videographer. Could be I live 15 minutes from Penn State University. I'm an EDM artist in, State College, Pennsylvania. And there's my friend's little brother's in the film school there, and he's awesome at just shooting show content. I'm playing some opening spots at 300, 400 cap clubs for bigger DJs. I'm opening for him. That's now the first team member. He comes with you to every single show. So that really, could be the game changer for a lot of artists, is the in-house videographer. And to kind of get there and know when you're ready for that time, it's when you've done it yourself. You have to, as a great artist CEO, you have to do every single role. If you're I do want to be Taylor Swift, John Summit, that level, what is virtually every single team member that you would have at that stage? And you don't have to do it well, but you have to try and fail, or try and be pretty good at every single role on the side of being an artist and making music. But I'm going to need an accountant. You got to run your own books, even if you're losing money, just because now, why would you put anything that's rooted in your career in the hands of anyone else, blind trust, without at least knowing, I've kind of done this before. I've tried editing my own videos. So now I kind of, even if I can't communicate it at the level of someone who's a 15-year veteran editor, I know, hey, I used to do this thing where in CapCut I would do this and it made my stuff look really cool. And now you can talk to the editor in a way, the attorney, the accountant. So doing it yourself and doing all those things, then getting to a point where financially or momentum-wise you're ready for that next step. And then again, it's what's the weakest point? What's your first checkpoint? Bring that person on. Could be manager, could be videographer, could be accountant. Who knows?
I even think about just running a business from just an operations base. If I bring on someone of sales or setter or whatever, I already know that role because I did it myself. And so then I can have an understanding of it, whether I liked to do the role or not. And I would say you hire for the thing you're either the worst at or you hate doing the most, right? But yeah, having an understanding of it, then you can translate that, because I've even had, video editors in the past where every time they sent something back, there was always a tweak. And then I got to the point where I was I need to figure out how I want to edit something myself before I show them what it's going to be. So I look at artist career in seasons, right? I know we're both on the same page in terms of artists need to be posting every single day. But before we get into campaigns on specific songs and rollouts and stuff like that, I wonder if you could talk about, and maybe we can kind of go here too, which is, in the EDM space, man, it's super rare that someone gets success with just an original song. Usually it comes with a remix, right? With few exceptions. So, and I've kind of said it like this, and bro, this is kind of where I like your no goals thing a lot. And I think a lot of artists talk to me and probably ask you about this release schedule thing. And what I say is this. I say, if you have a good song, what I see happen all the time is someone will have a good song. They'll barely promote it. They'll do the out and out posts. Okay. They'll make no content. And then they'll think the answer is, oh, I just need to make another song. Okay. And so you have this circle of, you didn't give this song a chance. And then you think the answer is another song. Right. So yeah, you can have this incredible release schedule, but if you're not consistent with content, then it doesn't matter. And so, I've worked with artists. Some of my biggest successes came in with one or two songs that were incredible. And they pushed those over the span of the next year and blew up their account. And so I guess, how do you see what they should do between making music, finding relevant remixes and originals, and finding the time schedule to make the content? Should it be more, hey, this month I'm going to work on songs, I'm going to take a break and then make content? Or do you see it constantly being a 360 kind of thing?
It's a 360 thing. And in the EDM space, if you really want to crush, you should release every 4 weeks, and then you should alternate like really, really banger remix that like you've, kind of like could swap the vocal and make an original.
Yes.
And an original. Not like a mashup doesn't constitute like something in the release calendar that can then eat up 4 weeks. But like, if you're like, if I literally muted this a cappella and brought on a new vocalist, it is an original. Like I built the production and an original every 4 weeks, boom, boom, boom. And then just doing the proper, 2 to 3 week lead up of posting the song 5 to 6 times a week, leading up to release. Song comes out, then go monitor, for the next week, continue to push and post and go, okay, what are the streams per listener? If it is an original, it's out on Spotify. Like, where is it at, and when do I know, when to kill this darling and move on to the next or continue to push? And then from there,
Okay, let's go into that. So hold for a second. So when do we kill it instead of keeping push? Like, what are you looking for? And then how would you split up the remix original? Like, let's just say it's January. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And how big's the artist?
Okay, so
how many releases previous?
Yeah, I think this is good. I'm trying to think of like what's a really good just example of an artist. So I would say like my ideal artist that I want to help is, has 10, 15 releases over the past 5 years between originals, remixes. They've released on labels. They have even maybe some bigger collabs, right? Maybe they've gotten some opening slots and they're just still struggling to convert on the content, right? So they're probably still thinking of, I got to push remixes. I got to find vocalists. Yes, I got to do some remixes, but they're at a place where they think they should be bigger. They're frustrated because they see other artists who are doing the content thing, who they think are probably less talented than them, doing the thing, right? And getting the shows, getting the festival bookings. So they're not going to be right into, being serious. They've been doing it for a while and they're frustrated. So maybe this is a reset from what they've been thinking. What would you tell that artist?
I would say, okay, it's January. We have to commit to 12 releases this year. Ideally, 6 to 8 of them are original.
Okay.
4 to 6 are going to be remixes. We're going to play the remix card based on one of two things. Can we be really, really early to something that's also niche enough to get a banger remix off of it? Okay. Like if you were an EDM artist who remixed like That's So True, Gracie Abrams, right before it became mega, but it still was pretty big. Like now it's like, you got to almost be like a stock investor too as well and be like, I got to kind of like bet that this song is going to be big by the time my remix comes out. But if it's too big, if it's like Blinding Lights or like freaking Taylor Swift, then everybody's going to remix it, like, and you're not going to stand out. So like, I think, back to Avella, I think he timed like remixing No Bro Boys in a time period where like they both ascended together. So you got to be a little bit of a stock investor and go, okay, I have to hold that card and assume I got to make 4 to 6 remixes this year, either because we're timing up a moment of, a song that's like ascending that we can kind of time my remix up right with, or on the flip side, an original just freaking flopped and we got to have like maybe old school remixes that just kind of sit there like, not this because it's over remix, but like Earth, Wind and Fire September, where it's not like time sensitive. Like we could put this out at any point this year and then going, okay, this original flop. So like now we can next week start pushing this remix just to liven up the feed of, what music we're using in our content. And then from there, understanding that like the originals you need to put the emphasis on because it just, you can obviously make money off of streaming royalties and originals, not on remixes, unless they're official.
Or it's a cover. Which I want to stay on Avella for a second because, bro, he's been a very, very cool case study. And just seeing what he's done. I think what's cool about him is, one, we've seen him, grind and make the content and do the thing. Second thing, like I said before, he doesn't have an exact answer of what his brand is, which I think is freeing for a lot of people to think about, right? So let's stay on him because he did No Broke Boys and he finished it very fast, right? That was part of the thing. Then he did Electric Love, which was release it on SoundCloud and then still did the cover as the original on Spotify, which is a remix or a cover of that song, which is kind of has old nostalgia. So what would you say in terms of, because we've been talking about this with my group lately. So remixes that are in the EDM space, right? Because there's obviously, hey, another DJ is going to play it, right? If I can get them on it. Then there's songs from the past that has this nostalgia, or I've even told my group like, hey guys, there's a huge 2016 thing going on. Go back and look at that, all those songs. And maybe that's a good, thing to start trying to figure it out if I could do a remix on this or mainstream pop stuff. Like how would you know what I mean? How would you split those up?
I think it depends on the artist and also like what they're inspired by. Like just forcing, I'm going to make a Fate of Ophelia remix that I have no ideas for that I hate just because it's a new Taylor Swift song.
Well, let's say they like it. Let's say they like things from different things. And let's just say, just for the sake of this conversation, like it's a house producer, like a tech house producer or something like that. So what would you tell them in terms of where to look for remixes right now?
TikTok. People will
TikTok?
love that. People will love that.
Yeah, I like
answer,
it. No, dude, it's
like,
the truth.
Like, what are the non-EDM what are the non-remixes that are getting used? Like, No Broke Boys was an audio that was building UGC, so that's why it's seamless. I mean, that's just the number. UGC, we're now 6 years removed from like 2020 era TikTok. We're like,
for someone who doesn't know, user-generated content.
Yeah.
So just made by fans or people that are just going to use the sound, the song, and whatever they're making.
6 years later, that is still the number one, far and away, most important metric for a song, for engagement. Because how easy is it to leave a like? Well, view. Let's start with view. It's literally just appearing on your feed. The minute you're just scrolling and you've scrolled past something that you didn't even really control it being on your feed, that's a view. So that's the easiest, lowest level lift, like passive level of thing. A like is literally double tap, 2 seconds. Save, it's hidden. So it's like no one really sees that you saved it. So, but you're at least like, hey, I like this enough to come back later. Comment, now you're in the public square. Now you're putting your thoughts, hate, love, fire emojis, everything in between out there in the public. That comes next. Then the most important on platform, behind the camera act, sharing. Because now you're putting your social capital on the line. If you share that to your friend or in your group chat where you share music and you're like, yo, this is fire. And everyone's like, no, it's not. Now guess what? Your status in the group as guy who finds cool remixes just took a shot. So now you've put that on the line. So the share is the most important, but then the UGC is the share on steroids. Because you're taking the time out of your day, even if it's a lazy freaking video where you're just like lip syncing the song and like posting it on your TikTok to four followers and getting 100 views. Like if a fan like makes UGC, not like a singular, video with the sound, but like it's stacking and the growth needs to compound where its number of videos created with the sound per day needs to stay flatline and grow. Yeah. So it's not about like a bunch of people jumped on a trend and like 100,000 people made a video with a song like for this 1 week. And then the next week, like it died. It's like, it was getting 500 a day. Now it's 1,000. Yeah. Now, like that's how you can kind of see that this is scaling and people are kind of converging around this sound in a way to where like if you love the song and you want to remix it and that's happening, that happened with No Broke Boys, and that's how you can kind of play that stock game of like the UGC on this is growing. It's the most important metric for fan engagement around a song. I can go in right now while it's still at 500 UGC a day, make mine, maybe my freaking remix of it gives that extra emotion and flavor to it to where now all the UGC migrates to my remix.
Okay. You mentioned with me on the phone the other day, the most important stat was the share ratio with something else. Was that right? Mm-hmm. What was that?
It's an easy way to categorize, like just shares ratioed to your followers, because like comparing, well, Taylor Swift got 21 million shares. Like, yes, I know. But like if you have 1,000 followers and you got 50 shares on something, like that's great. Like that's awesome. That's 5% of your follower number. Like send that to someone, put their social capital on the line. That's the type of stuff that you got to look at and be like, okay, if that happened, if I've never broken 3 shares on a video ever as an artist, and now I just got 50 with 1,000 followers, what was the outlier in that video? 9 times out of 10, what do you think the outlier is? The song.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a new song.
Yeah.
Like, I think the notion as well that, like, you know, Nepo baby, oh, they just spent money on this, whatever. Like, there is no amount of money in the world that will force people to listen to something that they do not like. Just no one is going to listen to, like, Gracie Abrams just because they're like, nobody loves Star Wars and Lost that much. That if her music was bad, she's got bangers. So, like, if her music was bad, maybe save for like 5 just psycho super fans of J.J. Abrams and his work on Lost and Star Wars. Like, they're not going to listen to his daughter's music just because it's his daughter if it was terrible. So, like, a great song and great music is always going to be at the heart of everything. And usually when that change happens and this just, you know, over-indexes this particular video and it's the first time you've posted that song, or, like, you know, you're early in the amount that you've posted that song, that's when you know you've got something to build on, and it is the song. It's the number one content strategy. It's a great song.
Yeah. I want to just stop there again and just say that there are, you know, I think artists, while they get this amazing song, should still be posting, in my opinion, just to get used to the muscle. But everything that we're saying all hinges on the music has to be great. Mm-hmm. So, okay, I want to just summarize what you just said in terms of how to find the right remix is watching a trending sound, going to maybe the trending page and seeing it start to climb. And let's just say you make the remix. Do you think an artist should finish the whole remix?
No.
Or, okay, because I've been saying that too. I'm like, you guys, you can use social media and you should to just test stuff. Just make the build up into the drop.
Yes. I didn't even when I was an EDM artist, I had a Sweater Weather remix pop off. It's got, you know, close to like 1 million streams on SoundCloud, and I had a video do a few million views, and I didn't even have it drop. There was no drop. It was literally, I was filming my computer, and it was just the buildup. Coals in my sweater, and then I had like a freaking cashmere fill. Okay. Video ended. I had nothing after that, and that video popped to like 1.2 million views. I'm like, I got to finish this now and put it out, and I did like 3 days later, and it did. So it's like, now you got something, you got to scramble. But like, what if that? It's better to be in a position where you've got something with demand, and you've got to scramble to maybe just finish the mix, add a drop if a drop didn't even exist, than like, I'm going to now not be posting, be away, away from the thing to now make the final tweaks and mix and build a drop and master a remix that now I've been off platform, haven't posted for 3 weeks. I take it, it's just a dud. No one likes it. Nobody cares.
So if they are going to test, like, let's just say they see the song, they're going to make the small sample, how many times are they going to test that song out? Or maybe you can talk about how many different formats they should try to. And I do want to get a little bit tactical about strategy with this stuff. But just as a simple default, how many times should they post that before they go, okay, well, no one liked this, on to the next remix?
So there's 2 answers. There's the tactical advice answer that we'll give first. And then there's like but it's usually this answer. But we don't want to get people too caught up in that. So starting with 12. 12 exactly. Reason why is because we get 4 different content formats.
Yeah.
So it could be like, again, Avella where he just puts phone down, always has the Squirtle hat. Him and I have had conversations about it's not your whole thing, but it's like a thing that, you know.
Dude, if he has any brand image, like part of that is the Squirtle visuals and the beanie.
Exactly. So the beanie, put phone down, step back. Like, that is a format where if you post this sample of this remix in that exact format that has worked before, or if you're a newer artist and nothing's ever worked, like 3 videos in that format.
Yep.
Now let's get another format. 3 videos in that. Another format. 3 videos in that. Another. So now you've got 4 different variables of the type of content and 3 videos per variable, 12. If it doesn't do any, like, no sign of life The 13th video. The whole, yeah, but if you really believe in it, you should post it in like 100 times. And even like big artists will say that it's not the no sign of life. Like when Alex Warren talks about Ordinary was a flood.
I was just thinking
it
about
is not
that,
there was not no sign of life there. There was not
yeah.
3 comments. There was like 3,000. And for where he's at, being signed to Warner, having 10 million followers, no sign of life for him is 3,000 comments. They're shooting for 10,000. It's not like it was Ghost Town. So if it's Ghost Town after 12 posts, the 13th isn't going to do anything.
Well, I'm thinking about Daniel Allen. I Just Need To.
But there was still sign of life.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he had to keep grinding to get like the biggest video, but it's not like the first 12 were like 140 views, 2 likes, 0 comments.
Yeah.
For 12 videos straight.
Yeah.
Like, there's still the 13,000 view, 18 comments. This is amazing. When is this dropping? That's a sign of life. That's a sign to keep going.
Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to come back to, where like I don't want anyone to get too caught up in this, but in my experience, doesn't have to go crazy viral, but in my years of doing this, and the hundreds of artists and the dozens of massive songs, anywhere from 10 million to 100 million streams, it's been the first post that there was pretty heavy signs of life. The first post. But that's not the rule, but it's just, it just kind of does reaffirm that like 12 is a healthy number. It keeps you, mentally, you might be down, you might have really loved it, but at least now you're not, sunk cost fallacy.
Okay. So, because I know artists are thinking this, and those 12, how are they posting those? Like, is it just like one day they're going to post 12? Throughout the week they're going to post those 12? How would you split up other content in between? And then also maybe come back to, if we are in this, because I think there's a lot that you said, right? There is the 12 songs, but then there's also the selection. And then there's also what we just said is the testing. So, dude, how do you kind of break that up in terms of testing the remix, the releases, testing the other songs? It's a lot, dude, I know.
It is a lot, and I think that's why you do need to go through a period of testing and iterating and learning and figuring out the content formats. Like when you have those 4 content formats that are reliable for you, that have worked in the past, and that you kind of, if you can do that at the same time, figure out what those are, the same time you're testing songs, now you can come into that year of like, I need to release, like it shouldn't all happen at once early in the journey. It should be like, I got to figure out my 4 content formats and the 12 songs, at least roughly, that I'm going to release kind of at the same time, so that I can go in with like, here's winning content formats. Here's a batch of like 4 songs that I know win. That gets me 4 months of lead time to use those same content formats to push those and test other stuff. But now, like, you just need some 4 to 6 song kind of runway to figure out the next batch.
What if they haven't found that format first that is the thing that they feel is going to work?
Keep testing. Work is what are we defining as work? And that's not like a question for this, but for the artists themselves to ask. Like,
no, that's good.
It's just sign of life, I think, is something that
sign of
I
life.
actually don't really say. That came fresh term for the Zack Gray man himself. But yeah, I think sign of life is actually just a good thing to focus on as an artist, because you have to figure out how to compound that.
What is the bare minimum sign of life for you?
Somebody caring.
Beyond
hard eyes and fire emojis.
Okay.
Like, even if someone DMs you your own video, and is like, holy eye emoji, this is insane.
Yeah.
Even if it's like the video gets like 300 views and like 14 likes and like if that happens, you're like, okay, let's reverse engineer why. Like, let's click on their profile. Oh, their bio is EDC lover. Oh, their most recent carousel is them just in front of the stage of Millennium, and my remix is like kind of in that vein. Cool. Now we have a sign of life. Let's make a video that's like, if you grew up on, Millennium Don't Let Me Down remix, like this is the 2026 version. Now 4 Millennium fans found it and they all commented and they're like, yo, like this is so taking me back to like early Millennium. Now we got something. And it all started from that one DM and doing the forensic work to go, oh, this person likes Millennium and they showed me a sign of life. Let's let that compound. And that's how it can formulate. And, this is a hypothetical example, but that really is how it happens. Doing that forensic work as the artist to figure out like, how do we take this small sign of life and compound it?
So yeah, I'm thinking of, they have a format that they're testing. And on the topic of the iteration, it's funny. I was thinking like, how many times is the word iteration going to come up today? Mm-hmm. So, but I love it, dude. It's so true. It's like the relentless iteration, the relentless testing is so important. And so as they're testing, what do you think are maybe the top 1 to 3 things to test for each format? So I'm thinking, right, put the phone down, rock out to the track, whatever it is. Is the first iteration change the hook on screen? Is the first iteration, maybe some effect of the video zooming in, how they put the phone down? Or is it, they put their phone down and it's a different background? So what would you think of in terms of testing something, and what are those first iterations to try?
The 3 E's.
The 3 E's.
Environment.
Okay.
Emotion. Edit.
Love that.
So the first thing is the environment.
Okay.
Is it truly a good environment that could, in and of itself, don't rely on this, it's not a crutch, but is the environment scroll stop worthy? And that's different for everyone. But like, if you're putting the phone down in front of a white wall, is that as scroll stop worthy as putting the phone down on a ledge in Times Square with hustle bustle behind you? So like, is the environment, not only is it scroll stop worthy, does that also fit the brand? If you don't know what your brand is yet, or like, just, is it cool? Does it feel you? Like, where's the environment at, and how can we make that better? That's the start.
Okay.
Then the emotion. The emotion could be you saying something, it could be the text on screen, but are we tapping into whatever emotion we want the song to convey and the listener to feel? Are we tapping into that in some way, shape, or form in this video? I think a lot of people, and the talking head and the guruification of a lot of these terms, like people say emotion and then an artist will automatically, because it's human nature, go to like the most extreme emotions, which are like grief, sad, angry. But like an emotion could be bored.
Yeah.
Like I could be like, I'm literally bored right now, and something that then cures that emotion and gives them the emotion that they want, which is not bored, is like I'm sitting at my 9 to 5, but when I listen to freaking, I don't know, like Shiver by John Summit, I pretend like I'm peak, Zook nightclub. Like, so it's like, it doesn't have to be so like, I got to tap into like, cause I wrote this about like my ex who like it could be baseline emotion, but do we have an emotion that we're tapping into and conveying? Is the environment scroll stop worthy and cool? And then there's something in the edit, and this is something I definitely want to talk about in this podcast, because this will game change. Is the edit in a place where it's matching the musicality of the song? This is like what unlocks everything. Not just zooming and cutting for the sake of zooming and cutting, but is your edit matching the musicality of the song? What I mean by that is picking one element that everything happens to. Could be the vocal melody, could be if it's future bass, every time the freaking snare hits, and then you're going to cut or zoom or do something. But what is the musicality matched edit that we're going to kind of iterate on and hopefully commit to for this song? So now it becomes like a satisfying, every time I post this song, I do this thing in this way. And the way to learn this as an artist, and this is how I learn production, this is how many people learn song arrangement, is you download your favorite song and you drag it into the DAW and you just look at it. First, you look at it. You look at the waveforms. You make the markers on the top of the timeline and go, okay, here's start. I'm going to drag it so it starts at bar 4. As soon as we're 4 bars in, put a marker, vocal starts. 8 bars of that, put a marker, hi-hat starts. 8 bars, everything drops, just respace. And now you're starting to like visualize as a producer to learn how arrangement and how change and addition and subtraction works in the world of production. You have to do the same thing with content and edits because it will change your life. You take 5 to 6 videos a day. And I'll give a side story after this that really will put a lot into perspective. But you take 5 to 6 edits a day, every day, make it a habit. Drag them into CapCut, Premiere, DaVinci, whatever, and go, okay, one by one, I'm just going to play this video, and I'm going to literally make a cut on the video in the timeline every single time a visual event, something is added, removed, or changed. So added could be text hook pops up. Subtracted, now it comes away. Change, now we cut to a different angle. Now we're adding like someone in the background's now like dancing. Now we have a change because we cut to a new angle. So every time a visual event, something is added, subtracted, or changed happens, make a cut on the video in the timeline of CapCut or Premiere or whatever. And now you can see, and then take your video that you thought was amazing and then it ended up flopping, drag it in. You can, and you know, ideally if the BPMs of the songs are like close enough, so it's not like, well, this is a 124 track and mine's like, you know, 90 BPM, no shit, they're gonna cut more. But like, you know, kind of finding videos or really, you know, content for songs that are similar in BPM to yours and going, oh, they had a 22-second video and I've, you know, identified 14 visual events. I've made 14 cuts. 14 distinct things happened in 22 seconds to make it engaging. Mine had 2. And now you can start to see that. And that quick aside is, you know, I used to be a curator on Submit Hub. And I used to, every morning when I was in college, listen to like 30, 40 songs a day for 30 seconds, listen through, give comments, give feedback to make like 50 cents a submission. And like the amount I learned about, you know, bad music, like from that experience and like making it a daily habit and doing that every day informed so much for myself that making this that daily habit, 5 to 6, you know, if you really want to commit that hour a day for a year, this will change your life. If you go 5 to 6 good videos, 5 to 6 bad videos, not just from yourself, but from other artists too, where you're like, I know that this is bad, not just because of the engagement, I just was bored. Like as you doom scroll, and like, what better thing than to have part of your job be scrolling Instagram? I mean, people do it for free anyway. So like doom scroll, and then when it doesn't even have to be music, does not even have to be music. But if there's like a video of like a bear attack and you're like, and you scroll, stop and go, wait, why? Why did I just watch that for 2 seconds and scroll? Let me download that, take it into Premiere and identify and go, oh, because it was just a blurry CCTV ring camera that never changed. Let me search up viral bear attacks. Now let me pull that in. Oh, this one went from this ring camera to that ring camera to the bear sprinted at it, clawed it. This is a way more aggressive bear attack, which has viral potential in and of itself, which is emotion. The emotion of this was, oh shit, this bear's way more aggressive. And even just the cuts from the 2 ring cameras was enough to stimulate engagement and the environment. So now you can make that environment, emotion, edit, analysis, even off stuff that you were bored on.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to change just how you think and see the world of content and keeping attention.
Would you say, and maybe this is a 4th E, or maybe it just goes with emotion, would you say their energy is a 4th one, or that is the emotion too?
I like it. Let's add it.
Let's add it. Let's go. Okay.
If you look like you don't want to be there, and you look like you didn't want to make this video, you're toast.
Okay, dude, I love it. That's the other thing I was thinking about. But yeah, I want to go back to what we were just talking about. So, just to summarize this again, good music is always foundational to some kind of familiar arrangement. And reference is still going to be primary to whether it's music or content or films or whatever. And I think that's a thing that so many artists, maybe they know, maybe they've had some training, maybe they've worked with like a production mentor or whatever, but I think it leaves so often. Whether it's an artist going into a session and just like playing around and having zero idea where they're about to go, or not having a vocal, or having no reference. That's why I see so many artists just get stuck, or they get frustrated and then they never finish anything. So I just want to say to everybody, just on this point, I want to stop here because I think it's so important, is what Nick is saying is, if you don't already know, your DAW can make markers. You can put them up at the top of the session view, and you can label them things. And if you take a song in and you are just, it's a similar song, it's another song that you've been referencing, or, it's your taste, it's your brand, you're taking the song and you are building out the structure. How does the energy flow into the next thing? How long is the verse? How long is the pre-chorus? How long is the chorus? But I really just want to hammer home the same thing with content, right? Ultimately, the brand gets you clarity on what things align with you, whether it's music or whether it's someone else's content or whatever. But we have to come back, and I think this is what you're really great at, man, and which is also what I've been really trying to, come back to. Like, a lot of times on our group calls, yeah, we'll do feedback on their music and their content, but what's more important, that or bringing in good songs and bringing in good content and going like, what is working about this? Like, guys, this is the reference. If you're bringing it as a reference, let's actually break it down from, I don't know if I've told them necessarily the CapCut thing, which I think is genius. And I think you could probably just bring in like different adjustment layers and label them different things as you go. But we have talked about using chat to basically storyboard what's happening in the video and then screenshot section by section. So then you're literally breaking down. And I know this seems probably, as we're talking, like this is a lot of work, right? But if we're talking about actually creating momentum, I think it all comes back to, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's not try to make a brand new song that no one's ever heard before. Let's not try to make a brand new piece of content that's never existed. I know most artists maybe don't want to think this, but everything has been done. There's a form of something that's been done, but no one is you. No one's going to have your exact taste. No one is going to be your exact personality or brand. So it is getting clear on that, which is the brand, right? And then referencing stuff that we're in alignment with. But if we are going to reference it, let's actually get kind of nerdy, super scientific into the weeds and go like, okay, what exactly is happening? Because I mean, dude, this is maybe a whole other rabbit hole we can get down, which is psychology and like pattern interrupts, right? But all these things work for a reason. They're human psychology. They are the timing, the cuts, the saturation, the color, the contrast. Like, all these things are just built into our human psychology, which also obviously, man, goes into the archetypes and stuff too. But I just wanted to kind of rehash that out just because I think this point is so important in terms of, if we are going to take reference and we are going to take inspiration, let's actually get into the granular detail of like what is actually happening.
100%. And like, that's how I used to produce for a long time. So I would take a song, I would drag it in, I would make markers on the arrangement, and then delete the track and go, all right, boom. And that's how you got to take that approach and take that to the content too, and be like, all right, this video from this artist is sick, and their song is pretty similar to mine. Let me take it in, make the cuts, and go, okay, from within the first 2 seconds, they cut to a new angle, blah, 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 and go, all right, I just got to follow that. And it's inherently, that's the only thing that's similar. So if we have the 4 E's, the only thing that's now similar is the edit.
Yeah.
But like, now your environment's going to be different. The emotion's going to be different. Your energy. So now it's like, it's a totally, no one's going to oh. And that's all social media is. Still, 70% of viral content on TikTok is either a remix, trend, or stitch. So it's a recreation of something that already exists. That's a stat that just was announced for 2025.
Oh, really?
70% of all like viral content, like 1 million views or above, 70% of it was a recreation in some way.
I mean, dude, think about song structure, think about melody, think about why there are so many covers time and time and again. Think about why they continue to make the same movie franchises. It's like, why do they keep making Superman? Why do
people love it?
People love it, and they're familiar with it. Okay, we're gonna move on to my next question. I've got a little structure here for us, Nick, so we'll keep it going. I would say one of the biggest cancers in the mind of most artists is this. They are inspired by artists who've been around for the last 10, 15 years, who are still headlining, still doing tours, still have their names at the top of festival lineups. And they're going, okay, well, what are they doing? Bro, how many times have you gotten on a call with someone? They're like, well, bro, you know, all they post is just like massive shows. So like, I got to get shows. I'm like, homie, no, you're not going to get any shows until you figure this other stuff. So it's like, dude, I had this call with this other guy the other day, and it didn't even end up in, you know, there's some calls I'm sure, you know, you have to, where it's like, you know, this isn't going to work, and I'll try to give you some helpful advice. But I think, you know, and I think Sammy was talking about that too. And for people who don't know, Sammy, what would we give Sammy as her title with you?
He's a COO.
Yeah. Sammy is incredible, CEO of Unleashed, and she's amazing. And so we were talking about, you know, how you guys are on calls, and sometimes you guys just know. It's like, are they the type of person? Are they actually going to be passionate to step into that role? Right. But I think even before that, there's a level of just self-awareness and a level of like, I got to get out of this like delusion and this programming of how the industry has been. I mean, dude, I'm a little bit older than you, right? I think by, how old are you?
26.
26. So yeah, dude, I'm 10 years older than you. So it's even worse for people who are older like me, because dude, it was label or nothing. Mm-hmm. Like, dude, this didn't exist. And so many artists, even younger than me, even maybe some people that are close to your age, bro, where they still think that's the way. They still think like, I need a label. I need this magical manager to show up. Actually, I want to pause on that second and also say, I asked Avello, does Peter do anything with your content? Actually, I asked Peter that. The answer was no. So I just want to say to every artist who's waiting for a manager to come and do their content for them, that's not their job.
It's not
their job.
It's to manage everything else so you can make the music and the content.
Yeah. So the problem is so many artists are still looking at these huge artists and thinking like, what did they do? What's the team they have in place, right? So why do you think advice that works for the top 1% actually breaks early stage and mid-level artists, or maybe that whole mindset just in general?
I mean, I think it's the hard truth of like, you kind of gotta point to like the biggest and the best to at least get that. I mean, at least that's what I found. That's why, you know, in my content, I make examples of the biggest and best. It's because it's like, now there's no arguing it, you know? So like, to use a fitness analogy, it's like someone who's 4% body fat with an 8-pack. It's like they're doing the ab workout. So it's like, okay, it must work. Versus like, if someone's like in pretty good shape, like, yeah, there's validity to like that.
Yeah.
But you're also going to be like, yeah, but like, even though I want to look like that now, like eventually I want to look like that. So I automatically trust that person more. And also, you know, victim of like, if I make a video on an artist who's crushing it and no one really knows who they are, like they're going to be like, well, I don't even know who this is. And they're not even going to get the value. So it's like psyoping, you know, all the artists that watch to where it's like, well, you know, here's what John Summit's doing. It's like, I know I also I'm cherry picking what I know he's doing that also the 15 artists who are popping off that are 10 steps below are doing it. But it's like, we're going to use his name because it's going to be like, well, now I have the motivation factor.
Bro, a separate note, I'm coming to terms with that fact. Even like a video I did the other day where, you know, it's talking about what Diplo just had to say on And the Writer Is podcast. And that video did great for me. And I, you know, added my own perspective, but, you know, just hearing and seeing things that are from people that, you know, it's the same thing as, you know, whether it's a remix or something that someone already has association with, it helps bridge the gap. And maybe that's a point to just mention really quick, that branding ultimately is association. Mm-hmm. So it's like, whether it's a remix or whether it's something familiar, a format or whatever, you have to associate yourself with something that people are familiar with before you can, you know, get to that next level. So the thing that I wanted to say and didn't bring up yet on that last point was nothing after, I think you even said 2023 now, is stuff that artists should not be looking at.
Correct.
So any strategy, any artist who blew up, okay, let's just say this as a sentence. Or maybe I'll let you do it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's validity in like certain nuggets of things that happen, but to like blanket go, this artist in whether it was 2022 or 2017, like they did this, so I'm going to go all in on that is, a fool's errand, because things are always changing. And you got to look at like, okay, but what did the artist, like, for example, Avella, like who just had success in 2025, 2026 do, which is going to be a wildly different strategy, compounding, like just everything than like a DJ in 2018.
Yeah. Well, you just state that just as like a sentence of stuff doesn't work. Like how would you phrase that?
Don't overly commit yourself to trying to copy anything from pre-2023 as an overarching message that you carry and strategy that you dedicate your entire career to. Like Post Malone only posted this, so it's like, no.
Okay. I needed you to say it as a clip because, bro, that's I feel like just one of the, dude, if there's like a list of things that an artist needs to have in front of them like every single day, it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
If an artist walked away from this episode or anything that we've talked about right now that they can implement this week, or one thing that they would think about differently, what would it be right now?
Well, hopefully this week they're implementing the whole CapCut making cuts visual events thing.
Okay.
That because I know that will for sure for all viewers make the most impact and like actual growth in their ability to make great stuff.
Okay, let's go here. And actually, I have some questions from Sammy. I'm going to grab my phone in a second. What do you think artists are doing wrong right now that's hurting them the most?
I think a lot of it stems from overly committing in any one area for the wrong reason. So
what do you mean by that?
If we come back to a really, really, baseline example of that would be like environment. Like let's say like everyone's, around this artist is saying like where you've been filming is just, it does not look professional. Like it's a mess. Your clothes are behind you and they're like, but this is where I feel inspired. So I will never change this. Don't tell me to change my art. Because my art is me in my bedroom with my messy clothes.
Dude, I told one of my artists the other day to fold his laundry.
And like that's an extreme example, but I think that does kind of stem down to like, do like that, being like, oh, well, that's my art. Like there's certain things you just got to be willing to take criticism on and change for the betterment of your career.
Yeah.
I only film in front of brick walls. It's like,
dude, I feel it. Okay, I got a couple from Sammy. We had a really good talk about, what to kind of get into of stuff that, she wants to hear you talk about too is, okay. Where do you see the EDM space going in terms of branding and content?
I think that word association is a big one. Like being able to be associated with a thing, and I'm using vague words intentionally because it's literally just a thing. It could be anything. Bunt was associated with pop-up shows. That's an IRL marketing activation thing.
That's good.
Just as much as Squirtle is an association to a Velo. Like, so just making, being associated with a thing that's inherently you, that this is very important. Clip this as well. Even if everybody in your personal life, your friends, your family, as well as random people that you've never met before online, even if all of them are hating on this thing, calling it cringe, calling it lame, you don't care. You still want to be associated with it and you would still die by it. That is inherently the nugget of what a brand is. Because if you're like, this is so me, when I die and I leave behind a legacy, I want everyone to point back to me and say, I'm the DJ who was blank. And then your friend from high school goes, well, blank is lame. Doing pop-up shows in delis is so weird, bro. And you're like, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to do it anymore. Then that wasn't you. You're going to fold that easy, then that wasn't your thing. That wasn't your unique identifier that you would, even if everyone in your life tells you it's the most cringe, lame thing ever, you would still commit to because you're like, yeah, but I see past that.
Yeah, man, that goes back to really like the core, the why stuff is like, what are these core things that make up who you are? Because, dude, ultimately, if we're going to be posting every day and doing all these things, if you're not coming back to what are these association, what is the hill that you're willing to die on, then bro, it is going to get too hard. You're going to get lost, and there's no way any of that stuff is going to end up being sustainable.
Exactly.
A couple more from Sammy. What can DJs do to stand out visually?
This is like a compounding jargon of questions, but it's like, okay, what is your unique identifier? Like, what is that thing you want to be associated with no matter how much hate you get? And then how do you infuse that part of you into your content in a way in which your environment, your energy, the emotion, and the editing all matches that? And then just going, okay, that's the floating, analogies and jargons and all that. But like now let me actually make it actionable and like commit myself to the visual event, making the cuts, and then comparing my stuff to stuff that's working and taking feedback and understanding that like what I thought was right may not be right. So I have to be willing to change things like that. But my core, my unique identifier, the thing I'm committed to, my overarching message, I'm not going to change that for anyone. But if you go, if we throw a zoom there and then a zoom there and a cut there, would be a little bit more engaging. I agree. I'll take that feedback. Let's implement it next time.
What is something completely outdated that you still see DJs and artists doing?
I mean, not running ads, honestly. I think in the DJ world, there's a time and place for it.
Not running ads.
Not running ads, I think, is outdated. I think ads are really hot, and I think it's not utilized enough in the EDM space in particular because I just feel like, for some reason, I don't know, I feel like that's there's like a almost different like mindset from the fan base of like not being marketed to and stuff, but like there's a time and place for it. You don't just like start running ads immediately, but I think it's still kind of untapped to like really like kind of force conversion.
Dude, that's just like a whole other rabbit hole that you just unlocked or you just opened. So yeah, without going crazy into ads right now, because I do want to keep this more branding content, but I do like that you said that. So I have some friends and people that we both know too that are ads to a playlist, right? And training the algorithm, building some kind of asset, and also training Spotify to, where to place them, where, you want to eventually be on another artist's fans also like. It's like, let's get, artists next to you, artists at the big level, and start to run traction to that playlist, right? Because that's obviously getting more streams, but, it's really teaching Spotify too. So
thinking, again, just like the manager and the label coming in to save you, that an editorial playlist, Bass Arcade is going to save me. Editorial playlist, I mean, all, third-party playlists, the best bass boosted 2025, those, are a death trap, and even the editorials. And thinking that, if I use ChatGPT to write my pitch the right way in Spotify for Artists, maybe this time, it's like, first of all, it's not how it works, but you still need to submit your pitch on Spotify for Artists at least 7 days out from release to ensure you get on release radar. But editorials are like a late stage. I already have engagement. I already have active listenership. People are coming to listen to this song for me because of my content, because they found the song because of me creating that active listenership. Now, editorial playlist is a great thing to like expose the song that we know has a great streams per listener, that's a great song that people already love, to expose it to a bigger new audience and see if that stickiness still holds. But like thinking you're going to come out of the gate, and I mean, I've looked at so many Spotify for Artists graphs in my life, and the ones that go like this and slowly tick up, and then maybe they get on a playlist and they shoot up a little bit more, and then they hold and they drop down, but they never drop down below the streams per day that they were at before the playlist. That's the ideal. But when it's like release day, I got on Bass Arcade, and then it's like 4,000 streams a day on Bass Arcade and like 10,000 streams a day total, then you get taken off Bass Arcade, and also all the active listenership because it wasn't the right data on the get-go. Now you're at like 800 streams a day, like that. And that's like in EDM in particular, like I feel like DJs are so obsessed with the editorials, and it's like, that's like the cherry on top of this is a great analogy, actually. You go on vacation for a week and you're eating lavish every day. You're getting dessert every single day. Think of editorials as that is the cherry on top of the dessert of the last night of the vacation. Like, that's when it hits the hardest, because you're like, oh wait, like this is the last dessert of the vacation, but like All the other meals were great. All the other things we did marketing wise were great. We ran ads and created, great new active listenership alongside the content, and we fed, and all these great things happened. And now we got on a few editorials 3 weeks after release because we had great numbers, and a human at Spotify saw that and added it. Now that's just the cherry on top of that last dessert. But it's not like, let's try to go for it in the beginning and then be like, I didn't get on any editorials. My life's over.
Dude, there was another guy recently who was just on Manager's Playbook, and it's someone that used to work at Spotify. And there's a clip I just saw lately that someone on my team sent me about how just we're at a completely different place in terms of how New Music Friday works. Like, it does not hit like it used to. And Spotify's algorithm is, to the homepage and is way more trained on your listening habits, right? It's not like, I think curation will still be fundamental, especially as we get into more AI stuff. I think people want humans to pick stuff for them.
Yeah.
Right. Someone who's been coming to mind as we've talked about this, and we did a podcast together a while ago, is Steve Cardigan. Right. He's got the AM radio thing, and he's been, an awesome, I guess you would just call him like music journalist. And he's built, those massive playlists. And, he talked about even some artists having a content driven playlist, but how he's promoting all that stuff is like, he'll make content and then it'll go to the playlist, which I still think is a good strategy for artists. Like, I love that. But in terms of how Spotify works, so many people, we can have a completely different conversation about what artists should get paid via Spotify. But in terms of a listener, dude, there is all these custom playlists that come up all the time. It'll be like hype EDM mix, made just for me.
Yeah.
And dude, I turn that on in the gym. There's some songs that I'm familiar with. There's some new songs, and really, it's awesome. But I guess my question would be, well, first off, we'll say this. I think most artists should not even think about the editorial stuff. It's like, dude, if you're going to waste 4 to 6 weeks just to, the truth is, not get on the playlist, and you're going to waste that time when you could be testing, or you could be pre-promoting, or you could be making content, I don't think any artist, unless you have a different opinion on this, should be pitching for playlists anymore. Maybe just for, no? Okay, so cool.
Zero.
Then we're in agreement on that. So
submit your editorial pitch just to get on release radar.
Okay.
But that's it.
Okay, and then, so is there a difference in length with editorial versus the release radar? It's like you have to do 2 weeks or?
7 days. You have to submit your editorial pitch 7 days before release for that song to land on release radar.
Okay, and then I think it's still 4 weeks for editorials or something like that?
No, you could get a shit ton of editorials day of release.
Oh, so, okay, bro, I swear it's just been in the zeitgeist of what people have told me. You got to submit 6 weeks before the song.
No.
So
just do it 8 days before.
8 days. Okay. Well, I guess that's a myth. You guys, it's 8 days for editorial or release radar.
Don't do it 2 days before because you're not going to get release radar.
Right.
And we're only submitting it because we care about release radar.
I think now I feel like the right song with the customization on Spotify, with the algorithm, is way more likely to actually reach the ideal fan now.
Yes. And again, something that I think is really important to delineate is you as the person who made the song will think your song is good. The Spotify algorithm cannot listen to the song. So it is only determining if it's good based on listener behavior.
Yes.
So it's, maybe people will come at us in the comments for this and be like, oh, but it's when you strip away, it's an algorithm picking, it's not. Let's look at the actual listener behavior, right? Yeah. Streams per listener is how many times someone's listened to that song how many streams from a single listener on average. So what does every listener, every human, everyone watching this out there do when they find a new song that they love? You'll listen in a span of a week at least 10 times sometimes, but at least 2-3 times. You're I just keep coming back to it. I love it. That's a signal to the Spotify algorithm that the song is sticky. It's a good song. People are coming back to it.
Yeah.
Then it's people are seeking it out. They're going to it. They're searching it up on Spotify, literally being let's say you keep seeing the I Run song, and you're like, whether you search it up because it's like, oh, it's AI vocals and I want to hate on it, whatever, like you're searching it up. So now all these platforms, including Spotify, all they want is average time spent on platform and users on platform per month per year. Because then they can go to their advertisers and say, on average, 100 million people use our platform every single year, and they spend about 72 minutes per day on this platform. So now as advertisers, that is us showing you proof that what we're charging you for ad space is a worthy investment. That's all they care about. Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, that's all they care about. So when you know that, you can reverse engineer and go, okay, good, bad, and ugly, I Run was bringing people to Spotify. Free advertising for Spotify. People are searching I Run. And there is a subset of people, whether people want to admit it or not, who did and do like that song. So now they're continuing to listen to it, and it's bringing people to the platform. So that's how the algorithm works. They go, all right, this song and this artist are bringing people to us for free. People keep listening to it. Let's go show it to more new people because we know it's a good song. That's how it knows. It doesn't listen to it. It's not an algorithm listening to the song. Yeah. It's just listener behavior.
Before I move on, I want to touch on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok.
For the EDM space, goated platform, this is a rabbit hole, so I'll just throw it as a little tangent. Reddit.
Okay.
But just let everyone do their own.
Okay.
Why it's goated. Reddit EDM great SEO.
So let's go back to the artist that we talked about earlier. We helped him or her with some content and some strategy, some remixes and stuff. But in terms of focus between these things, how would you split up? I mean, you've said before, obviously more authentic stuff like rushed or just more raw, TikTok. Obviously more curated, Instagram. Longer form, whether it's DJ sets or mixes or whatever, maybe SoundCloud and YouTube. But how would you, because dude, posting every day, how would you see those other platforms, or how should an artist think about YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit now, SoundCloud?
As far as YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, everything should be posted everywhere, always.
Okay.
Every short form video you make goes on all three, always.
Okay, dude, this is going to be a good one. So I think there's this feeling of, okay, if I use like the Instagram text, or if I use edits, or if I edit in the Instagram.
None of it matters. Posting time, hashtags, edit, nothing matters.
Okay.
Just don't have the watermark, the TikTok.
Okay.
That's the only thing that maybe a little. But go watch Adam Mosseri, Mossie, the CEO of Instagram. He said, nothing matters but the watermark. So guess what? Nothing matters but the watermark.
So, okay, let me ask you this. So let's just say you edit something on edits, download it. That's fine to go to TikTok or vice versa?
Yeah. I just did that. I add the text on screen for all my videos in edits, download it in edits, post it everywhere, and then upload from edits directly to Instagram.
I've been doing that.
Only reason why I do that is because I like to keep my backdraft of drafts.
Yeah.
So that if something popped off, guess what I do? 3 months later, I take that same exact video, I find it in edits, and I repost it again exactly as is, and it always does better. So repost your old stuff that did well too.
Without even changing it?
Without even changing it.
Okay. Yeah, because I've heard sometimes either switch the text hook or even just re-export it, change the color a little bit so the metadata is differently. You don't think it matters?
I'll change the emoji on the text hook.
Okay.
But
so you'll change something. Okay.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Not all the time. Sometimes.
Okay. How do you, Nick, stay ahead? And maybe this is also for the artists as well, with all the things changing so much. If we're at a completely different place from even 2022, 2023, and now 2026, how do you think about staying ahead? Obviously being, someone at a label too, and just like things changing? And then maybe on that same standpoint, how would you recommend artists think about adapting as things change?
Proof of concept. Proof of concept is the best way to stay ahead. And again, proof that something works can come from you or it can come from external sources. But like, for a lot of my life and career, it's been like a lot of like moves, like me going from EDM artist DJ to producer for other artists to content agency to label has literally just been like me going, I just kind of feel like this would be a fun thing to try. And then the proof of concept of like, oh, wait, this is like, I look and it's like, it's been 3 weeks and then 3 months. And I'm like, oh, like this is like a real thing now. So that's like an example of like internal proof of concept.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, like I want to try producing for other artists. And then like those sessions kept stacking up and I look back and I'm like, oh, it's been 6 months. Like I haven't even made a song for myself. Like it's been all sessions for other artists, but now I'm making a full-time living as a producer for other artists and I can move to LA. That worked. I should keep doing it. So that's like an internal example. External is like where these artists are starting to see a lot of success running fan pages. So like that's something that like we should try. So there's like, is something externally have proof of concept or is it just something you feel like you want to try? And then, but then it has to like then prove that it's working.
From what you've seen, what separates artists who follow through from those who don't?
Relentless commitment to making sure that when things don't work, you don't get emotional. You just try your best, even if you don't know, at least try to figure out why, and then try to do that thing that you think maybe is the reason why it didn't work. Try to do that thing differently next time. But just going emotional and being like, they just don't appreciate my art, so I'm not going to post for a week. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Like versus like, yeah, maybe this song did suck. Let me but I thought the video was cool. Let me try the same exact video with a different song. Well, why not? That's the winning mindset.
Maybe you already answered this, but this was my final question on here. If you had to zoom out, what does it actually take to break through as an artist in 2026?
Incredible music. That's the number one. A brand that even if you as the artist don't know what it is, at least like you're being associated with something that another niche or community can find harmony in. So like I'm the anime edit guy, and maybe it's like other people are making anime edits with your music and that blows up and that's why. But like incredible music that then has an association with a thing. On that journey, you find out what your unique identifier is, the thing that no matter what, even if friends, family, people around you call it cringe, you will unabashedly commit to. Figuring out a way to inject that into your content won't happen immediately, but working to get that in so it always feels you, and then just constantly going, okay, my environment, my energy, my emotion, and my editing has to get better with every single post. I'm not going to stop posting. I'm not going to stop testing new music. I'm just going to keep trying, not getting emotional, and figuring out what is the thing that I can get better at with every post, with every song, with every release. And then eventually, if the music is incredible and then gets better, it just that becomes the catalyst to blow up.
I have one more kind of two-parter, and then I have a special one that I like to ask everyone, and which I think you'll like too. So if an artist has it in their mind that they feel like I want to make a career out of this, at what point of I got to be realistic versus I need to stay optimistic, dreaming, no goals, stick to the process? What do you think is the thing that you would tell them in terms of the cold, hard reality, whether it's an action thing or a mindset thing, of the kind of person or the things that they would actually really have to do and commit to actually get to that level of being a headliner? Like when to give, I guess maybe I'll just phrase it like this too. Like I'm not saying that I want you to tell an artist like, give up, don't chase this, but I want you to maybe leave them with like, this is the cold, hard reality of it. And, cause maybe there's two things. Maybe there's like, hey, you just do it cause you love it. And just, miraculously one day it turns into something cause you're just a savant or you just keep going. But I think there's another thing, which really ultimately is what the branding and the why does, is helping them be intentional, helping them take intentional action to, where they want to go. But I also just think in my mind sometimes of like the amount of people who actually get there is so small. And so I almost feel like for some artists, you shouldn't necessarily always have in your mind this, I want to be this huge headliner thing, because maybe it will rob you of this thing that should be this pure, amazing thing, which is making music. Mm-hmm. Because, dude, I think, the thing that me and you are constantly going to talk about and just deal with is, bro, this is a job. This is about doing so many other things than music, right? And that's the biggest thing that we probably deal with too, is artists who just want to do music. But in today's age, like, that doesn't exist anymore, and it will never exist again. You're still going to have to do stuff. So, and that's the position I'm always coming from, bro, which is like, hey, dude, your music is a service. So if we can just take ourselves out of like me, my music, my career, and go, hey, let me think about all the artists who've impacted me. Imagine if like my favorite artists out there decided to not promote the song or do the thing, or how many times did they think about giving up and they kept going? And now they absolutely changed my life. And it's like the reason I want to be a huge artist, or I want to change the world. So there's that, right? And then there's like, maybe this is just my love, and I'm not the person that is going to do these, or maybe I can never get to the place where like, I'm going to do this work and ever, I don't know, man, like, grind and do the thing. So like, kind of like a big thought, man. I don't really know where to.
I have a really simple answer.
Okay. Yeah, go.
If you really feel like you want to chase this and really chase the dream, and the dream does have the kind of contingencies of it makes this a job. Yeah. And with a job, a dream job, there's going to be things that you love about it and things that you hate about it. So if you're like, okay, I want to do this, I want to be in music, I want to make music, but I only want to do the things and the parts that I love, none of the parts that I hate, then it's not a career, it's a passion. But if you're willing to go, okay, there's going to be parts of this I don't like. What is like the cliche kid's dream job? Astronaut. You think the astronauts like when they're freaking have to go 23 hours in that chair that spins around? No, they hate that. Baseball player. Okay, how about the baseball player that A, mentally and emotionally hates being away from their family 162 games a year, or B, hates running wind sprints till they throw up, but they love hitting a grand slam in the World Series and hoisting the trophy. So there's parts that you love and hate in every single job. And if you're like, no matter how much I hate it, I will grind it out and take the same relentless, competitive, momentum building, consistent approach to the hate and the love and just go through it all, then you have the, first inclination of like, this can be the dream job. But if you're like, I don't want to do any of that, then it's the passion.
I really like that. And it's a slight different perspective from me, but I think it actually adds something really important, because I'm always trying to get everyone to get to a point of enjoying it. And I think that's important. So, right. For every artist that I talk to, and this is ultimately the goal of every artist I work with, is to get to a point where obviously making sure they're making good music, making sure they have an understanding of their brand. But my ultimate goal for all the artists I work with, dude, is for them to get to a point where they look at making content as an extension of their art. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, as well, it's something that's enjoyable. But to go back to what you were saying, I look at it like this as well. Every artist who is just starting to make content, dude, they are like very extremely out of shape. Okay. And they just have to walk in the gym. Like, there's no results. They just have to like walk in the gym. Maybe they do 2 things and then they leave. But it's going to take so long for them to feel like comfortable. It's so long for them to just feel like, dude, this is a part of me. And the results are so far away. And so you have to have a reason to go to the gym, right? I'm trying to get in the best shape of my life this year. And it's like, dude, I have a reason for it. And if I didn't have a reason, I'm not going to do it, right? So I think there needs to be a reason, but there also still needs to be an acceptance of, dude, the gym is hard. Like it is that work. And I love what you said, bro. I think that's so important, is even if it's something that they'll never enjoy, and I think that's the thing is, dude, if it's your dream job, you need to accept it, that's just going to be a part of it. And I think that's just as beautiful, bro, as me, wanting an artist to enjoy it. Also just saying like, hey, you know what? If you actually never enjoy it, if you never enjoy making content, as long as you're still like, hey, this is my freaking dream job, dude, just accept it.
Yeah, and I'll put it into perspective. I definitely have my dream job right now, and what I've wanted my dream job to be obviously has gone through iterations throughout my career, from artist to producer, et cetera. And like, I don't really have a weekend. Like,
yeah.
I'm here in Vegas, and like, this is supposed to be, we're filming a podcast. This is part of it. Like, I'm having a great time, but like, a lot of people go, I want to, like, that compounds. Every Saturday I film for 8 hours script. So like, I can't really get away, and do like so that's just part of it. And like, I don't hate it, but I still love it because it's you love all of it, but it's a lot more fun to have the video sitting there to go post, and then that pops off, and then all this cool stuff happens. But it's like, there's also the other parts. There's the scripting it, the filming. So it's like, everything is going to have a part that even if you don't hate it, isn't the most fun part. Can you make that? Can you take the same gusto and energy and aura to that part as you do the part you love the most? And it all kind of goes from there.
Yeah, man, that kind of changed me when I saw you say that, and I appreciate you bringing it up again, is the just reality of what you have to do. Because I've been trying to work on my content. I've been trying to think about what the schedule, and just hearing you say, dude, wake up at 4:30, I script till whatever, noon, and then film, and then send it to my editor so it's ready to go, is just like, dude, if this is what you want to do and you commit to it, it's like, bro, that's what happens on Saturday. And at some point, it's like, there's no feeling about it. I think my favorite definition of discipline is just doing the thing you need to do no matter what, no matter how you feel. And that's it. Whether it's the music or the content or whatever you got to do, you have to get to that point if you really want it.
I agree.
Okay. I got one more question, but before I ask that question, I'll just mention, me and Nick have been working on something, dude, probably since we initially kind of talked. And for you guys watching this who are still maybe feeling overwhelmed, or any of this stuff resonates with you, and you maybe have an understanding of your brand or you don't, but the problem that you're facing is, how do I translate that into content? Me and Nick are working on an event coming up. So if you're interested in attending that, there's going to be a link in the description to join and sign up on the wait list.
Yep.
Cool. So last question. I asked this to Steve Cardigan. I'm going to make this a habit. Imagine, you said your favorite artist was Chainsmokers. Okay.
Still is.
So okay. I love this. So imagine Chainsmokers are relying on this, or imagine that there's another artist out there right now, maybe listening to this, or if you could send like a signal in a dream to them. Okay. And they just had the first thought of like, I would like to do music. And you could like leave them a message, and it's going to be your favorite artist coming up ever. What would you tell that kid?
I would say be unapologetically you, with constraints around not letting that hinder your ability to take the strides that you need to take to learn who you are. So don't lose yourself in the sauce. Always be unapologetically you, but don't let that stop you from going, okay, I need to also potentially evolve my sound or my brand or what I believe to be the best version of myself. And I think like a great example of that is, look how much the Chainsmokers evolved. So it's like, it's always them, and that's part of why I love them. And like, they're always just doing whatever they want to do, but like, it's changed so much. So being willing to change, but also staying unapologetically you, that's like, should be your first thought the minute you like download Ableton for the first time. I'm going to do whatever I want to do, but I also have to be willing to change and evolve to be the best I can be. But I'm not just going to go download Slap House FLPs when I want to make future bass and just put those out without changing anything.
Okay. Well, I'll ask anything else we didn't talk about you want to mention, and if not, where can people find you, bro?
at Rough Music Official on all platforms. If anybody watching has a plug at Meta that can get me at Rough, I'll pay handsomely. I've been trying for so long. But at Rough Music Official for now.
Dude, let's go. Well, without further ado, Nick, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, brother.
Let's go.